All right, we are back. We have some excellent presenters here coming in from Colorado. I think they're all based in Colorado. Yep, I see Danielle shaking her head. Yes, so I'll let them introduce themselves. However, I will read the topic of their presentation. You should have access to share your screen, whoever is doing that here. From vision to virtual victory, building CU. So Colorado University's Boulder, Alienware, Buffalo, Esports, and Gaming Lounge as a future-ready campus hub. There it is. I'm going to jump off the call, and you all looking forward to hearing this.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for the introduction. We appreciate it. Well, welcome. Good morning, good afternoon, good time zone. We're very happy to be here. We want to welcome you from our gaming lounge live from Boulder, Colorado, in our student union, the University Memorial Center. So with our presentation today, we want to focus in on really that gaming is not a new part of college student life, whether it's at the University of Colorado or in higher ed generally. But we as the university are still experimenting with the idea of gaming as a university-supported function of student life here at CU. So the Gaming Lounge is this metaphorical and literal lab where university staff, admin, and students can collectively discover what is the university's, and in our case, also Alienware's, place in our gaming student community towards positively impacting their belongingness, their mattering, and ultimately towards students' well-being and success beyond. Our time together here is going to be a brief glimpse into the inception of our gaming lounge and gaming programs, how we've been implementing that thus far, and the impacts of our experiments and what is next in terms of that experimentation. But before we get into any of that, we do need to do a quick round of introductions with myself and my colleagues that I'm joined here today. My name is Adam Pallas. I use he, him pronouns. I am the senior coordinator for gaming programs here at the University of Colorado, and I'll let my colleagues introduce themselves.
Awesome. Hello, everyone. I am Becket Duncan. I'm a research analyst here in the Division of Student Life, and I'll pass it on to Danielle.
Excellent. Thanks. Hi, everyone. My name is Danielle Rourke. I use she, her pronouns, and I am the Director of Learner Engagement Technology here at CU Boulder. So before we jump into our full presentation, we wanted to highlight something. As the Alienware Buffalo Esports and Gaming Lounge is a physical place for community, it's important for us to share this land acknowledgement. You'll see this on many CU Boulder websites, email signatures, and around campus. Belonging and mattering is a core component of our gaming and esports programs, so we want to acknowledge the mistakes of the past and reinforce our commitment to doing better for future generations. Thank you all. So with that, I wanted to talk a little bit about the very, very beginnings of the Alienware Buffalo Esports Gaming Lounge. And part of that was industry interest. I'm going to get to the timeline on the next slide. But what I wanted to talk about is the fact that I originally was with CU from 2016 to 2020. Then I left and went to Dell. So yes, technically CU had an inside the industry, but Dell and Alienware wanted to start up a gaming lounge that was really focused on building that community within higher education spaces. So they were looking to partner with different universities and colleges across the United States. And me, having come from a college or university, they wanted to know what I thought were good criteria points. So I actually worked with them on developing what were the criteria that we would use as an industry partner to evaluate potential higher education partners. So I just wanted to cover these pretty briefly. Some of the things that we looked for when I was a part of industry is things like how many Twitch streams or views do you have? How many eyeballs are you getting in front of on a daily basis, on a weekly basis with your streams? Also, we would take a look at how many active Discord members were in your Discord, because that is a primary indicator of how active your community is on campus, as well as potentially alumni who have left campus but are still wanting to be plugged into the gaming space. Foot traffic of the space was a very important one. From the industry perspective, we actually had certain candidates that we decided not to go forward with because they did not have a high enough number of foot traffic. I believe one of the criteria that we talked about was like 10,000 people per day going past that space where this gaming lounge was going to be. So that's something important to think about if you are thinking about building your own space as well. U.S. News and World Report rankings, these, used to definitely be a bellwether of how prominent the college is, how well respected that college or university is. So we wanted to look at it from an academic angle as well. University and local support can't be overstated. Making sure that the university supports this effort, that they're going to back it, that they're going to provide resources, but also the local community and even governments. We were lucky enough here in Colorado to have a gaming governor who understands the importance and the community building aspects of gaming. And so he was extraordinarily excited, attended the grand opening of the space, and was really supportive from the very beginning, which got a lot of news attention, which got a lot of community support. Finally, just overall social media followers. I know we talked about Twitch streams and views, active Discord, but other social medias like X or Instagram or Blue Sky, evaluating how far of a reach and how broad that particular university program had. Those were all really important elements that we were looking for from an industry standpoint. So take that with you into any of your future endeavors as well. Wanted to pretty briefly also talk about the timeline, really, and kind of the history of how this came to be. So in 2019 through 2020, the CU Gaming and Esports group, it's a student group, they initiated their ask and then held focus groups on campus and did a campus survey to really find out what do the students want, what is the interest level, and that was really the ground breaking effort of grassroots students who just knew that they were passionate. They really wanted to bring this to light. And so they started doing the hard work. In 2022, they brought in Esports Supply and did a feasibility study of how we could implement something, a space like this on campus, where might be good locations, et cetera. That dovetailed really well into 2023, where Dell and Alienware were interested in bringing these gaming centers and solutions to life. So it was a fantastic bit of circumstance that the students were so active before Dell and Alienware got involved, because we were able to just kind of present that to them. And then in 2024, there was the grand opening of the space. So less than a year worth of construction. It was really up to the tight partnership between industry and higher education. But that grand opening here, you can see the governor there along with Chip, our mascot. And it was really an amazing event that showcased a community coming together and providing something for the students. So with that, I'm actually going to pass it over to Adam to talk a little bit more about the construction side of things.
Yes, everyone's favorite topic, construction timelines. For a bit of reference, I was brought onto the university in August 2023. And initially when I was interviewing, they told me that, like, yes, the gaming lounge is going to be ready by the time that you start. They didn't break ground until September of 23 because that's just how construction goes. But to Danielle's point, this was a pretty quick construction turnaround. Through the feasibility study, we had identified a low-used Wi-Fi PC lounge that wasn't really being utilized in the student union near our dining areas. And we identified that because it already had a lot of the power and network needs. The university needed to invest a little bit into bringing the space up to fire codes with HVAC, get the data and network infrastructure ready to go, get the power built out, which we did primarily through the fall semester of 2023. But demolition really began in September 25th of that year. We did all that build out in October and November. Alienware and Dell identified Pinnacle as their fabrication partner, and they came in and they put up the beautiful walls that you can see behind me and kind of over Becket's shoulder. They also installed all the countertops and all that stuff. My staff and I, we did our PC build out with the with the feasibility study in esports supply, we contract with GG Circuit for their GG Leap and other server solutions. And that installation also happened in December with the PC build out. And finally, and in January 25th, 2024, that was our grand opening where we had the governor, gaming organizations, students. It was a big hubbubaloo with a lot of media attention. That was really great to see the efforts of those students who initiated those asks turn into something physical. So with the construction completed, now we needed to actually enact the lounge and the programming and the identity of what this is going to be. So we settled on this guiding principle of all gaming is gaming, which is a little corny, and my students laugh every time that I say it, but it really is the guiding principle of the gaming lounge and the programming that exists as part of the university's effort to support gaming on campus. And it's our shorthand for being inclusive of all types of gaming and gamers, from solo to casual play to being really intense on just your one particular game. But it's also being inclusive of all identities and elevating marginalized voices and experiences in gaming. So when we talk about all gaming is gaming, there are two co-equal pillars. The first one is that no matter the game, the platform, or the perceived skill, it is still gaming. It's rejecting that stratification of games and recognizing the breadth of games that already is happening on campus. So whether that is the tabletop RPG club, the Magic the Gathering or Pokemon or Yu-Gi-Oh clubs, board games, video games, esports, Candy Crush, whatever it might be, it is still valid gaming and belongs in our gaming programs and in our consideration for the lounge. The second prong of that is that no matter the person's identities or backgrounds, everyone belongs in gaming spaces. It's the institution's commitment to inclusive equity and justice in gaming, and its rejection of the discrimination and marginalization and exclusion that unfortunately still exists in gaming and esports spaces. So we look to amplify these positive behaviors, the social justice in gaming, and the power that gaming really has to bring people together. And we turn this into our operations and programming for the lounge and activities that happen throughout the space. With the donation from Alienware, it includes the fabrication, the equipment, and the furniture. It's valued at $1.2 million. It includes a scholarship for our students as well. But with that, we have our 19 gaming PCs, 3 laptops, our console area. We have broadcast equipment that we're slowly building out more and more. This is where Becket and I are right now, and the equipment that we're using to live stream to you today. So with the within the lounge, as ongoing support for our gaming and esports community, we're still building out those broadcasting capabilities, as well as through other assets created by our marketing communications team. As senior coordinator, I supervise about 11 student front desk staff and 1 front desk manager. These staff are often the only ones in the lounge, so they're really empowered to take ownership and responsibility for the space, because they're often the ones setting the culture and the tone for welcoming people into that space and ensuring that the vibes still are well maintained within this space. We've opened as a pay-to-play model with free trials available for any student for their first 10 days free, and everyone gets 2 hours free on our Tuesdays, because everyone loves a good gimmick for a good marketing campaign. We provide discounts for students as well as CU staff and faculty, and community members are also welcome in our space, whether that is, you know, we've got people on tours who their families, while one parent guardian is with their prospective student, we've got another with some younger siblings in here as well. We're open daily at noon into the evening, usually aligned with building hours. The space is also reservable by student organizations, university departments, community organizations to welcome in birthday parties, journalism day throughout the state of Colorado, or staff retreats, where I had the ultimate pleasure of teaching our business staff how to play Fall Guys last summer, which has been the highlight of my career. And any generated revenue that we get from the game time, the passes that we sell, or the reservations is going right back into the operations of the space, whether that's staff wages or any of the programming that you can see on the screen off to the side there. We have a couple programming series that we've been experimenting with that have been created and planned and executed by my 2 student event planner staff. We have our Buff Cup, which is a casual competitive year-long competition. We have our Cozy Gaming Friday nights once a month. We also have our Inclusive Excellence in Gaming series. Usually this turns into a speaker, or we try to build intentional community around one of our cultural and heritage months that we have on campus. So the event that I want to highlight for you all for Inclusive Excellence was last November for our Native American and Indigenous Heritage Month. We invited John Romero of Doom and first-person shooter fame to come and speak to our students virtually in collaboration with our Center for, oh gosh, they just changed their name, Center for Community and Cultural Connections. There it is. In order to bring together his experience as someone who holds an Indigenous identity from the gaming industry to speak with our students about what's possible for inclusive excellence. We also try to partner with student organizations as much as possible because we really want to use university and departmental resources to elevate and collaborate with things that are already happening on campus. When we started out, we never wanted to duplicate anything that the students were already doing. We just wanted to elevate or fill niches that still needed to be a part of the gaming community. So with all of that, our gaming lounge is organizationally housed underneath our Center for Student Involvement, so our student activities office on campus. So really, we are focused in on this student experience and the impact that we're having on the student community. So really, we have to ask the question every year, are we actually achieving our All Gaming is Gaming vision? Are we positively impacting belongingness and mattering as necessary components to a student's personal and academic well-being and success? And Becket and his team absolutely help us answer that question. So Becket, what can you tell us about, are we achieving our vision?
Awesome. Thank you very much, Adam. So yeah, let's go ahead and dive in and let's start talking about the demographics of our Alienware Buffalo Esports and Gaming Lounge users. So when looking at the 2024 to 25 academic year, we wanted to look at the demographics of the users and the students who were coming in here. And so one thing we noticed was that 82% of the users in this lounge identified as male, compared to the overall campus demographic of 53%. And so with an eye on that, it kind of makes us wonder who is welcome in this space, who is utilizing this space, and who is coming into this space to play the games. And so we have to continually think about who's coming in and what is that showing other people. What are we showing people? What is the environment like for everyone within this lounge? And so gender is one of the main demographics that we looked at. We also looked at race and ethnicity. And I think this is one of the most interesting parts right here. So our campus as a whole is 65% white students. When you look at users in the lounge, that goes down to 46%. And we see that 24% of users in the lounge identified as Asian American and 13% were international. So this is definitely a space for people of different races and ethnicities to come into the lounge, feel welcome, connect with communities, and connect with partners all over the world. As we look at our next slide here as well, we looked at campus residency. So our campus residency, we have about 40,000 students. About 30,000 students are off campus and about 10,000 live on campus. When you look at residency for the gaming lounge, we're almost split 50-50. So a little over half of students who participated in the lounge last year lived off campus. So that tells us that students who live off campus are coming to the lounge. Maybe they're spending time here between classes. Maybe they're seeking out the lounge because there's better Wi-Fi. We are that space for off-campus students to utilize. And then one of our final demographics we looked at was first-generation status. So this is a priority for our chancellor at the institution. Are your spaces and places welcome to first-generation students? We can say yes. We do have a higher slightly percentage than the university of students who identify as first-generation utilizing our lounge. And so next up, kind of as Adam was saying, I want to talk about that belonging and mattering. And so we issued a survey to all of our students across the institution, and we asked them belonging and mattering questions. So do you feel accepted at the institution? Do you feel like you belong? And we asked students to agree with these statements on a scale of 1 to 6, from strongly disagree to strongly agree. As we see, users in the lounge had lower scores than the overall students across almost all of the markers we looked at. So do you feel accepted? The median score for students in the gaming lounge was 4.5 compared to 4.7. Do you feel like there's someone on campus who cares about you. We see 4.48 and 4.73. So a big difference there. And then that last point is satisfaction with making friends. So do you feel satisfied making friends? Again, we see that lower score for users in the lounge than we did for the overall campus population. So if we look at our next slide here, we also wanted to look at the campus resources and what sort of campus resources our gaming lounge users were utilizing. As we can see, the top 5 overall were the exact same for students on campus versus students in the lounge. The recreation center, I find it kind of funny that it's 67% for gaming lounge users. This is their recreation center. So that's not too much of a concern for us. They are coming here for that recreation. I think the one thing that I want to investigate further is the medical center. So why are only 30% of gaming lounge users utilizing the medical center? Maybe they are the healthiest students on campus. I don't know. I think we should investigate that. And so moving on to our next slide. One thing we're hearing from students overall is about community. So we hear from students about the community is a big factor. It is the place where I can connect with my friends from Argentina, and it reminds me of my childhood in the Boy Scouts when you're just playing with a bunch of friends. And so this gaming lounge exists as a space for people to connect with their friends, no matter where their friends can be, no matter what games they are playing, they can connect with everyone. And so with that, I want to pass it right back on over to Adam to wrap us up.
Thank you, Becket. So we certainly have some work to do, especially on activating along that utilization and belonging and mattering gaps. But being cognizant of time, I want to advance us towards questions as we look towards the future. One of the questions being, what was your greatest challenge or unexpected challenge? For me, as the person who is overseeing the operations and management of this space, I did not fully understand what purchasing video games would all be like, given our university's fiscal policies. This is related to licensing, to establishing Steam accounts, to what does it take to have like available guest licenses for people in the lounge to be able to borrow these games. Since we want this space to be as affordable and accessible as possible, we want to be able to offer very cozy indie, like on the fringe type games versus our very popular AAA titles. So being able to navigate that and help coach fiscal, like other financial staff on this campus about like why this is important to student belonging, and why it's important to student belongingness and to the mission of the lounge and the ultimate mission of the university has certainly been an unexpected challenge, but one that I've found not nearly as much resistance as I might have expected.
Awesome.
Yes.
And Adam, while we're waiting for other questions to come in, I'm actually going to take the liberty of tossing us back a minute. Can you talk a little bit about the future plans? And everybody who's watching, please chime in with your questions and we'll try to get to those.
Yes, of course. So for our future plans, like I was mentioning, we are going to be investigating how we can activate on those belonging and mattering gaps for people who are utilizing the gaming lounge. Since they're coming here, the university is supporting them. So what are the intentional interventions that we can do as the university and in partnership with Alienware to ensure that we're addressing those belonging, mattering gaps? Because we know that's important to students' holistic well-being, academic success, and beyond. We're continuing to integrate the esports teams into the university. Right now, they exist as a student-led, student-run organization with little to no direct support from the university. So we look to change that and elevate, again, what the students are already doing to make good on the asks from 2019-2020. As we continue forward, we're looking to partner with faculty to develop mentorship and scholarship and other research opportunities. And of course, we want to continue to build that alumni network. With an institution like CU Boulder, we have a vast alumni network that I'm sure is more than willing to come in and support our goals here in the gaming lounge and on campus for gaming and esports.
Awesome. Thank you, Adam, for diving into that. We did get another question in. So it's actually a two-part question. What are some of the long-term goals of this space? Hopefully we just covered some of those. And then the second part is, does it primarily revolve around the establishment of a social space for students and the community? Or perhaps are there goals for research collaboration to utilize this space as a potential hub for innovative gaming and esports research?
a fantastic question. For the long-term goals of the space, I will not have as pretty of a response as potentially someone with the long-term strategic plan for the Division for Student Life might have. But to answer the first part with the second part, we are looking to primarily the space because we're housed within our Division for Student Life. We look to this as a place that is co-curricular for students. So it's learning beyond the classroom. But that being said, while that is the initial priority, we're not opposed to using this as a research collaborative opportunity or to be innovative in the esports and gaming world, especially at the collegiate level. I think that's one of the greatest opportunities that we have in connecting and engaging with faculty on campus in our communications and media college and beyond.
Yeah, and I think that's a great point, Adam, because we definitely want to get more into research. We want to invite collaboration with others, ideas, etc. So please, you can see our email addresses on the screen. So anybody who's watching, please feel free to reach out to us at any point and give us suggestions, share ideas, and let's see if we can do some work together in the future. So I don't currently see any more questions in the chat. So Becket, Adam, just thank you guys so much for being with us and for doing all of the fantastic work, both in the research side of things and in the supporting the community. And thank you to the Esports Research Network for having us and letting us tell our story.
Awesome. Hey, thank you all. Appreciate it. We are going to get set up for the next presenter, Dr. Ray Pastor from UNC Wilmington, AI and Collegiate Esports, Enhancing Practice, Play, and Competition. Appreciate a great insight, Colorado crew. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Have a good one.
Thank you very much.